Here it is, the all-new Nitto Ridge Grappler and in a 38. Well, actually, there's nothing really new about this awesome hybrid tire, or that it comes in a 38. What is new is that you can now get them in a 17-inch wheel size. And really, it's about time. This is a tire size that people have been wanting for quite a while now, especially with the introduction of the Jeep JL Wrangler and JT Gladiator. Their wide open wheel wells practically beg for bigger tires to be run. And up until now, a set of 37s was about as big as you'd really want to go. Or at least without having to worry about things like axle brakes, or having to run 1-ton axles. And while we are only talking about 1 inch here, bigger is bigger. And now Jeep owners can run these 38-inch tires without having to buy a new set of larger wheels. So, full disclosure, Cindy and I did not buy these tires. We've been fortunate enough to work with Nitto for well over a decade now, and they were nice enough to send them to us for the purposes of testing and review. Of course, we will be installing them on Jet, our 2018 Jeep JL Wrangler Rubicon Unlimited. And while it really isn't necessary for us to do, we decided to use this opportunity to change things up just a bit. Needless to say, we bought a set of these. This is an all-new 17x9 KMC Tank Beadlock wheel in an all-black finish and with 3.5 inches of back spacing. So let's get these things installed. All right, the first thing we're going to need to do is remove these 4 bolts securing the beadlock ring to the wheel. And in order to do that, you're going to need yourself a 9/16 inch socket. And to help speed things along, I'll be using my small impact wrench. Alright, now that I've got the ring removed and set aside safely out of the way, I can now install one of these. This is a TPMS sensor, and while you can recycle them from your factory wheels or your old set of wheels, I find that it's just as easy to buy and install a brand new set. And to do that, we just need to remove the valve stem cap, take the TPMS and insert it into one of the 2 holes on the wheel. Then we'll take our installation tool, thread it onto the valve stem portion of the TPMS, and then pry it into place. Simple as that. Now, as I just mentioned, this wheel does come with 2 valve stem holes, and this is more of a convenience feature than anything. It just makes it a lot easier to air down or air up on the trail. And for the second hole, I'm just going to use a standard valve stem, and it installs exactly in the same way. All right, let's get ourselves a tire installed. So, whenever I'm installing beadlocks, I always like to try to make sure that all my tires are getting installed the same way. And on most tires, they'll have something like a barcode along the bead or some kind of other distinguishing mark to help you to figure that out. But with Nittos, they make it super easy, especially being that most of their tires feature a shoulder lug and sidewall design that's different on each side. And on a Ridge Grappler, you have one side that features a traditional block design that's similar to a trail grappler. And on the other, you have an angular, more aggressive design that is unique to it. Now, for our purposes, we're going to be going with the latter, just so that there's no confusion as to what we're running. But before we do anything, I had a number of people on Wayalife.com ask, how much do they weigh? 81 pounds. And because I know it's coming. And according to our scale, this KMC tank wheel weighs almost 42 pounds. And that means together, our wheel and tire weigh about 123 pounds. So as I was saying before I interrupted myself, we're gonna be running our Ridge Grapplers with the angular, more aggressive shoulder lug design facing out. And that means we need to get this side mounted onto our wheel. So in order to get this tire mounted onto the wheel, I'm going to need to apply a little bit of lubricant to the bead. And I always use a product called Glide. You can get this at Napa, but really like dish soap or Simple Green or even Lemon Pledge will get the job done just fine. So what I'm going to do is pour a little bit of this in here. And apply it here. All right. So from here, all I need to do is work it onto the wheel. And we can just press it on. Okay. So as you can see, I just placed both the wheel and tire on top of a 5-gallon bucket. And the reason why I did that is because I want to use gravity to help me to seat this bead down. The weight of the tire is already doing the job for me pretty well. We just need to get this bit in. And to do that, we're going to use a couple screwdrivers. I should note that you don't want to be using any lubricant on this side of the bead. You just want to pry it in. All right. All right, just to make sure that everything is seated really well, I'm going to take a dead blow hammer and just go all the way around the bead with it. Time to get the ring installed. And there's really no wrong way to do this, but because this is how the wheels came, I like to line up the KMC logos with the KMC logos or the valve stems, as you can see right here. And we're just going to try to make sure that the ring is positioned over all the holes before we do anything else. Now I should point out that on KMC's website, they show these black tank wheels with a set of gold or zinc plated bolts. And for whatever reason, ours came with black ones. And while I'm sure that'll look great, I actually prefer them in gold. And so that's what I'm going to be installing today. Also, we live in Nevada, and corrosion just isn't an issue for us. In the 20 some odd years that I've been installing beadlocks, I've always installed my bolts dry, and it's never been a problem. But if you live in the Rust Belt or in a state where salt is heavily used in the wintertime, I would highly recommend you lather up your bolts with some anti-seize. So to get things started, I'm going to be installing 4 bolts opposite each other and in a cross pattern. You just want to make sure that they're hand tightened for now, just to make sure nothing is binding up. All right. From here, I'll be using a 9/16 inch socket to tighten them down a little bit more. And as before, I'll be using my small impact wrench to help speed things along. You want to make sure to go in a crisscross pattern like this, just to help make sure that the bead is going down nice and evenly. Now I can add in 4 more bolts so that they're opposite each other again. And then we can work all the bolts down in a star pattern. All right, now we can add in the rest of the bolts. Okay, this is where I'm going to be ditching the impact and moving over to my torque wrench. And according to the KMC instructions, these bolts need to be tightened down to 32 foot-pounds of torque. 31.2. Lock that into place. That should do it. From here, all we need to do is put some air in the tire and seat the bead entirely. All right. Okay. Okay, let's air this guy up. Now I should point out that whenever you're airing up a brand new beadlock install, it's always a good idea to stand to the outside of the tire and not in front of the ring, just to be safe. There it is. All right. The first of 5. And that's the last of them. And just because we can, all right. So for comparison's sake, this is a Nitto Trail Grappler in a 37-12.50. And of course, this is their brand new Ridge Grappler in a 38-12.50. And if you look real carefully, you can see that it literally is about an inch taller. Let's get these things installed. Need to set our torque wrench to 130 foot-pounds of torque. That's 125, 130. Lock it in place. Okay. As I said from the start, we are just talking about an inch here, but bigger is bigger, And these new Nitto Ridge Grapplers in a 38 look a heck of a lot better to me.